Good morning. On this Saturday, February 21st at 9:10 a.m., I call this annual meeting of the NAACP to order. I'd like to call up Bishop Marvin Thomas, member of the NAACP National Board of Directors from Memphis, Tennessee, to give us our invocation. Bishop.
Thank you. Good morning. Good morning. Let us pray. God of our weary years, God of our silent tears, you have brought us thus far on the way. You have by your might led us into the light. Keep us forever in the path, we pray. God, we, your daughters and sons of the dignified dusk of the African soil, pause this morning with our heads bowed toward Mother Dust and our hearts lifted toward the hills from where our help comes from, to say and give thanks to you. We thank you for the gift of a new day filled with new mercies. We thank you for traveling grace from the many places we've come and for arriving mercy to New York to conduct the business of the NAACP. We thank you for your call upon our lives, for the work and ministry of social justice. Lord, as we gather in this place, we know that you know the evil that is running rampant throughout our nation, led by the person who occupies the White House and his co-conspirators. In the face of this evil, we ask, when will you deliver us from this evil? We ask when, because we know your track record. You have done it times before. We are confident that you will deliver us because you are a God of repeat performances and you will do it again. Until soon comes, grant us hanging in there grace and strength. Lord, be with us as we gather in this place. We ask your blessings on the work of the NAACP and all the places where we are showing up and doing the work of justice. Bless President Johnson as he moves about on our behalf. Bless Chairman Russell, our national staff, state and local unit leaders. Grant them grace for the work they do. We ask our blessings and favor upon our upcoming Image Awards. Bless Vice Chair Boykin-Towns and her team with what they need as they need it for a successful outcome. Lord, we give thanks to you for the life, legacy, and witness of your servant, the Reverend Dr. Jesse Lewis Jackson, Sr., whom you've called from labor to reward. We ask our blessings upon his widow, family, and organization. Bless them in this season, granting them the assurance of your confident presence for this and every time of need. Lord, the work you have assigned our hands to do in this moment is challenging, demanding, troublesome, and hard. But we are yet glad and rejoicing because of who you are and whose we are. So, Lord, when we leave this place and go back to the waiting work, we ask of you, Lord, refresh us on our toilsome way. Lead us from night to the never-ending day. Fill our lives with love and grace divine, and glory and Lord and praise be ever thine. Amen.
Now that's a prayer. So folks will be joining us throughout the morning, but we are going to move forward with our business because we have a long agenda. On your seats, you'll find the agenda for today, as well as the minutes from our meeting last year, Saturday, February 15th. If you could please review, and if all is in order, I would ask for a motion to adopt. A motion was made and properly seconded to adopt the annual meeting minutes from Saturday, February 15th. All in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, the minutes are adopted. Thank you so very much. So good morning, family. Good morning to the leadership of the National Board of Directors, our foundation trustees, our unit leaders from across this nation, and every committed servant in this room. Before we proceed, however, I would like for us to pause. This is our first annual meeting without our beloved Dr. Hazel N. Dukes. She was with us last year, and we all remember her entering and her doing all the things and giving us our charge. But Mama Dukes was more than a civil rights icon. She was a builder of leaders, a guardian of this association, a steady and fearless voice for justice. For decades, she poured into this organization, into our board, into so many of us personally. She demanded excellence. She protected this association fiercely, and she never allowed us to forget who we were or what we were called to do. Her presence shaped this room, and while her seat may be empty, her spirit is not. In honor of her extraordinary legacy and her immeasurable contributions to this association, I ask that we observe a brief moment of silence. Thank you. May we continue the work in a way that makes her proud. I'm sorry.
Is it possible for us to adopt your statement in reference to of condolence?
Thank you. It will be in the minutes that we will adopt next year, but thank you. So now, family, we are at a consequential moment. Across this country, we are witnessing challenges to voting rights, challenges to educational equity, challenges to truth itself. We see policies and rhetoric designed to divide, distract, and discourage. But let me be equally clear. We are not new to consequential moments. For 117 years, this association has stood in the breach through Reconstruction backlash, through Jim Crow, through lynching, through massive resistance, through attacks on affirmative action, through every attempt to roll back progress. And every single time, we did not retreat. We organized, we litigated, we mobilized, we led. This annual meeting is not simply a procedural gathering. It is a declaration that our leadership is aligned, that our governance is strong, that our mission is intact, and that our resolve is unshaken. The NAACP was built for moments like this, built to defend democracy, built to demand justice, built to protect our communities, and built to ensure that progress does not become temporary. Now, as we move through this morning's agenda and the various reports that will come forth, let us remember that these are not just reports. They are a reflection of work that is happening in courtrooms, state houses, classrooms, communities, and boardrooms across this country. And what makes this association powerful is not simply our history. It is our discipline. It is our structure. It is our unity, and is our willingness to stay at the table and, when necessary, flip it over. We are strongest when we are aligned, strongest when we communicate clearly, strongest when we remember that leadership is service, and service requires courage. So today, let us lead with clarity. Let us govern with integrity. Let us disagree respectfully where needed, but leave united in purpose. The communities we deserve, the communities we serve, do not have the luxury of our division. They are counting on us. And if history is any indicator, we will not fail them. Thank you all for your leadership. Thank you for your sacrifice. Thank you for your continued belief in this association. So now let us begin. We will start this program with our MOUs. Those are our memorandum of understandings. And as vice chair of this board and as chair of our strategic partnerships task force, it is my privilege to see once again the signing of these memorandums with our key partner organizations. Today is more than just a ceremony. It represents intentional alignment. It reflects our commitment to moving partnerships from conversation to codification, from shared values to shared accountability. These MOUs formalize our collaboration around civic engagement, health equity, inclusive economy, inclusive democracy, and justice-centered advocacy. Each organization we are about to recognize share not only our mission, but our urgency. The signing process is simple. We will invite each representative to the signing table. We will execute the agreement, take an official photo, and then invite them to make brief 2-minute remarks. Now, this is how we build durable partnerships. So if the chairman and the president can please take a seat at the table, we will start with the first signing with the Truth Initiative, where Kathy Crosby, President and Chief Executive Officer, will be the signator. Now, the Truth Initiative is the nation's largest nonprofit public health organization dedicated to preventing youth and young adult nicotine addiction and empowering quitting for all. Our field-leading approach to behavior change and policy change creates transformation impact through national campaigns, proven effective quitting programs, and in-school curriculums that help prevent and break the cycle of nicotine addiction at the individual level, and vigorous research and public policy that helps advance impactful policies at the population level. We are very, very excited about this partnership. We have been working the last year together, and so to be able to sign today is a great opportunity. You know what? Fine.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much. I'm so honored to be here today. Good morning, and I'm so thankful to be representing Truth Initiative. The NAACP and Truth Initiative have been long allies in advancing health equity, recognizing and addressing tobacco-related harm, and that is the critical work that we do. Tobacco remains the leading preventable cause of death in this country, but its impact is not equal. About 45,000 Black Americans die each year from a smoking-related illness. Nearly 81% of Black smokers smoke menthol cigarettes, and these products were deliberately marketed in Black neighborhoods and designed to be easier to use and much harder to quit. So today, I'm so thankful that we're bringing together our legacy of advancing racial and health equity with our expertise in nicotine addiction and confronting the toll that tobacco use has had on Black communities while supporting individuals with quitting for good. Over the past 25 years, Truth Initiative has played a major role in one of the biggest public health victories. Our nationally recognized public education campaigns have helped drive down youth smoking rates to historic lows from 23% when we started as the American Legacy Foundation after the signing of the Master Settlement Agreement to just under 2% today. And we have bent the curve on youth vaping as well. So to empower quitting, we offer a leading nationally recognized free program called X Program, developed with Mayo Clinic over 15 years ago. X Program has literally helped millions of people build the skills and confidence they need to leave tobacco behind forever. And our research has shown that for those who use X Program, they're 4 times more likely to be able to successfully quit these products. Since January 25, when we launched our new campaign, over 17,000 Black Americans have entered into X Program to get help in quitting. And over 4 million are actively seeing our campaign outsmart nicotine in the market. Truth Initiative developed a program called Breath of Freedom, and this is a critically important coalition of Black community leaders, equipping their communities with the support they need to improve health from tobacco. We also have part of this collection, or part of this coalition is part of our Culture and Cessation Collective, which empowers Black, Hispanic, Latino, and LGBTQ communities to achieve freedom from nicotine. So everyone deserves a chance to live a life free from nicotine addiction. And we're excited about the critical importance of this partnership. Thank you for making it our opportunity and our honor. And I feel as if we have been adopted into your community. So thank you.
Thank you. Terrific. Next up is Chi Eta Phi Sorority Incorporated, where the signer will be Samantha Ajee, the national president. Chi Eta Phi Sorority Incorporated is a professional organization of registered nurses and nursing students dedicated to service for humanity, founded on October 16th, 1932 by Eileen Ewell, RN, and 11 nurses at Freedman's Hospital in Washington, D.C., to elevate nursing standards and expand opportunities during a time of limited access for Black nurses. Today, it encompasses diverse graduate and undergraduate members across the United States, Washington, D.C., and the U.S. Virgin Islands, and delivers programs in health promotion, disease prevention, leadership development, mentoring, recruitment, retention, and scholarship, continuing its role in strengthening communities through advocacy, education, research, and service. Thank you so very much. And we talk so much about the Black doctors, but we are so happy to have the Black nurses.
Thank you. Good morning, Chairman Russell, President Johnson. It is so wonderful to see your smiling faces here this morning. On behalf of Chi Eta Phi Sorority Incorporated, I am Samantha A.G., the 23rd National President. And it is an honor to stand alongside the historic National Association for the Advancement of Colored People. As we formalize this partnership through the signing of this Memorandum of Understanding, for the last 9 decades, over that time period, Chi Eta Phi has represented a trusted and respected profession. Yes, you heard me correctly. Nursing is a profession. And not only are we a profession, we have stood as the #1 profession consistently over the years. The trust that we have is not just about clinical skill. It is about presence. It is about advocacy. It is about education. Is it about service? We meet people in their most vulnerable state. We listen, we teach, and we empower. Today, we continue to expand that trust beyond the hospital walls and into our communities through civil engagement. Health, well-being, and civil engagement are deeply connected from the national level through our local levels and through our local chapters and branches. And that's where this MOU comes into play. So we need your help as well. The communities, they vote. And by voting is where we shape the policies. These policies determine the access to healthcare. They determine maternal healthcare and outcomes, environmental protections, funding for public health, and health equity. When we increase our voter participation, we are increasing the power within the community. And when our communities have power, health outcomes are improved. Right. So this partnership reflects a shared commitment to educate, mobilize, and empower our communities to exercise their right to vote. As a sorority of professional nurses, we understand that advocacy is care. We encourage civil participation, and we continue that in our mission to eliminate health disparities and to promote social justice. Together with the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, we will leverage our collective networks, our credibility, our community presence to empower and to ensure that every eligible voter has their voice heard, that they are informed, that they are engaged, and that they are heard. So because of these healthy communities, they don't just happen, they're built, and they're built together. And with that strength, we look forward to participating, and we look forward to encouraging, and we look forward to seeing you out there and working with you. Thank you so very much.
Thank you. Our next MOU is with PFLAG, where Edith Guffrey is the board chair and will be signing. Please make your way to the table. PFLAG is the nation's largest organization dedicated to supporting, educating, and advocating for LGBTQ+ people and those who love them. Founded in 1973 after Jean Manford publicly stood with her son during the 1972 Christopher Street Liberation Day March, emerging from a growing need for families, friends, and allies to support LGBTQ+ loved ones. Today, it comprises hundreds of chapters and hundreds of thousands of members across the United States working to build a caring, just, and affirming world through support programs, education, and advocacy that advance equity and human rights, and grounded in core values of community, inclusivity, accountability, bravery, and growth. PFLAG leads with love by providing resources, fostering understanding, and championing policies that ensures LGBTQ+ individuals are safe, celebrated, empowered, and loved. Thank you so very much. And here is the mic.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm honored to be here this morning representing PFLAG, and I am grateful for the incredible leadership and the voice of the NAACP. I am just one beneficiary of your unrelenting work and commitment to justice over the years. Thank you to Damara and Nicholas and the staff work of Takei and the PFLAG leadership for making this morning possible. Last night, Damara asked me how I came to be in PFLAG. And I told him that I have an adult child who came out to his father and me when they were 14. I didn't go to PFLAG at the time because Brian was already surrounded by family and faith community that believes that love and justice belong to all of God's people. As retirement approached and I was asked to serve on the PFLAG board of directors, I said yes, because the work of PFLAG is the same work I was involved in with the United Church of Christ. It's the same work of the NAACP, advocating for a community that some people think don't deserve a seat at the table. Now, the NAACP has done that for years. You know what it means when politicians decide that Black people don't matter and implement policies that want to push us to the side. PFLAG knows what that's like for the LGBTQ+ community. And those who are Black and brown in this community know that as well. My child knows that. We advocate, educate, and support the LGBTQ+ community, families, allies, and all who love them. Of all people, we know what it's like to try to be pushed to the side. And we refuse to be quiet while others continue to try and do that. This new partnership says clearly that we refuse to be pitted against each other for someone's political agenda. I don't know why we haven't worked together in the past, but we joined together this morning for such a time as this. And I look forward to the opportunities that await us.
Thank you so much. And I'd like to recognize Damar Roberts and Nicholas Wiggins, who leads our LGBTQ+ committee from the national board level, and who are doing really great work in making sure that our communities are connected. Next up, and with great pride, we bring to sign their MOU, Iota Phi Theta Fraternity Incorporated, where Kevin Bennett is the executive director. Our leader, Wisdom Cole, is a proud member of this fraternity and worked diligently to ensure that today's signing took place. So Iota Phi Theta Fraternity Incorporated is a historically African-American, socially conscious fraternity founded on September 19, 1963 at Morgan State College, now Morgan State University in Baltimore, Maryland, by 12 visionary students committed to civil rights, community empowerment, and brotherhood. Created during a pivotal era of social change, the fraternity responded to the political, economic, and social challenges facing African Americans and remains guided by its purpose. The development and perpetration of scholarship, leadership, citizenship, fidelity, and brotherhood among them, while continuing to champion education, activism, and community uplift. Rooted in the motto, building a tradition, not resting upon one, it has grown into an international organization recognized for excellence, service, and meaningful societal impact, now comprising hundreds of chapters and tens of thousands of initiated members dedicated to advancing its founder's vision. Thank you, welcome, and here the mic.
To Chairman Russell, to Vice Chairman Boykin-Towns, and to President Johnson, to the NAACP family present and listening in, good morning.
Good morning.
I greet you on behalf of our 24th International Grand Polaris Orlando O. Grant, our board chair, Brother Keenan Salter, and the over 70,000 men of IOTA, as we are delighted to reunite and reconnect with the NAACP. This moment brings me some personal joy, as back in 1986, on yesterday, I celebrated 40 years as a member of Iota Phi Theta Fraternity Incorporated and 20 as its executive director.
Oh, wow.
President Johnson, I'll tell you, back in 1986, truthfully speaking, there were other organizations that I had an opportunity to become a member of. But at the time, on the campus of Hampton University, they were not extremely active with the NAACP. Aren't we? So how ironic, President Johnson, that I'm standing here today. I feel as though the relationship has come full circle in giving us an opportunity to continue to be committed to our community, to our needs of our people. And so I tell you, as you already know, we have work to do, and IOTA is here to help. God bless you all.
I love us. I love us. So this last MOU, we are really, really proud of, and we will see a video after I give the name and the organization's purpose. We are thrilled to join in partnership with the African American Mayors Association. The African American Mayors Association is the nation's only organization exclusively representing African American mayors dedicated to empowering local leaders and strengthening the communities they serve by advancing public policy on issues impacting city vitality, providing leadership tools, and fostering collaboration through shared best practices in municipal management. Founded in 2014 in Washington, D.C., and succeeding the National Conference of Black Mayors in 2016, AAMA promotes transparency, accountability, and advocacy efforts that uplift Black communities nationwide and furthers its mission through networking, partnerships, policy advocacy, and data sharing. Now, the person that leads the organization is none other than Mayor Van Johnson of Savannah, Georgia. However, he is originally from Brooklyn, New York. So if we can roll the video, please.
Greetings to President and CEO Derek Johnson, Chairman Leon Russell, Vice Chair Karen Boykin-Towns, Foundation Chair Dr. Dwayne Proctor, the National Board of Directors, the Foundation trustees, and NAACP leaders and members across the country. I'm Van R. Johnson II, Mayor of Savannah, Georgia, President of the African American Mayors Association, and a proud subscribing diamond member of the NAACP. I'm also bringing greetings from our CEO, Phyllis Dickerson, and the entire AMA team. The African American Mayors Association is the only national organization representing more than 500 African American mayors, including leaders of some of our nation's largest cities. Our mission is simple but urgent: to support, strengthen, and empower Black mayors through resources, training, and a platform to share best practices and elevate effective leadership. Across America, our mayors are on the front line, fighting for justice and addressing the real challenges facing our communities: food insecurity, affordable housing, infrastructure, economic opportunity, and public safety. They are reducing violent crime, building community-centered safety strategy, expanding housing, and creating pathways to prosperity. Likewise, the NAACP has always been on our front line, fighting for justice and addressing real challenges facing our communities. In fact, because of the historic efforts of the NAACP, the concept of an African American mayor is not foreign or aspirational anymore. It is real. Last month, we were honored to formalize a partnership with the NAACP. This partnership reflects what has always been true. Our organizations share a common purpose: to advance civil rights, eliminate racial discrimination, and expand civic, educational, and economic opportunity for Black communities. And this moment, the moment of now, demands our collective strength. Our mayors and our city are facing unprecedented challenges. We are operating at a time when hard-fought rights are being questioned, resources are being threatened, and the foundations of equity and democracy are under strain. In times like these, partnership is not optional. It is essential and absolutely necessary. Together, AMA and the NAACP will work to advance and protect civil rights at every level of government, educate our communities about their constitutional rights, advocate for policies that expand opportunity, and collaborate on issue-based strategies that deliver real results. Just as important, we will invest in the future, engaging and preparing the next generation of leaders through expanded access to mentorship, scholarships, and fellowship opportunities. Together, we are stronger. Together, we are a powerful force for justice. Together, we are unstoppable. And together, we will not rest until equity is advanced, opportunities expanded, and the poison of racial discrimination is finally uprooted from our communities and our country. God bless, and let's stay in the struggle together.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And thank you to each of our partners for standing with us today. These signatures represent more than just ink on paper. They represent shared responsibility, shared strategy, and a shared commitment to advancing justice, equity, and opportunity. And to all of our partners, of which there are more than 80 plus, we thank you for your collaboration, and there is much great work for us to do, and this is how we build moving forward. For those of you, I want to make sure you're aware that just yesterday we issued our Strategic Partnership Task Group's 2025 Strategic Impact Report, which talks about our reset moment of really our approach to our partnerships. And so we look forward to those that were signed today being incorporated with all the great work that we look to do in terms of helping to build NAACP membership, helping to be on the front lines for civic engagement, as well as helping us with our revenue so that we can continue to do the great work of this association. So thank you, and let's have applause for all of the signatories today. So we are moving forward nicely. And since we have more of our leaders that have joined us, the chairman has asked me to circle back, and we're going to do it a bit more compressed than how we normally do it in the interest of time. But we want to recognize those leaders of the National Board of Directors and our foundation board who helped to provide strategic oversight and governance of this great association. Can you please stand and be recognized? These are some of the hardest, Joy, why aren't you standing? These are some of the hardest working people in civil rights. And then we would be nothing if it were not for those that are in our state conferences and our branches and our youth councils. If you are a leader in any of those, will you please stand and be recognized? These are the volunteers who are on the ground day in and day out, working on behalf of our association, and certainly our youth leaders. I just want our youth leaders to stand up because I love them so very much. And they are balancing so much with school. And the advisors, if the advisors who help provide them advice, if you could please stand, because I always get in trouble for missing the advisors. Thank you so much for all that you do. And if you are a member of the NAACP, can you please stand up? And if you are not, we have, if not, Erica and some other folks will come and see you. We will get you signed up. You are in the right place. So, yep, membership is the lifeblood of this association. So it is an honor to introduce a man who does not need an introduction in this room. He is our fearless leader, our chairman of the board, who hails from the great state, well, who hails from Florida. Who hails from Florida. But a lot of people look at the role of chairman and they think that it is glamorous and it's all the things. And I can just tell you that this man is 24/7. He has held just about every position in this association. And despite all of the challenges, he remains steady. He remains focused. He remains compassionate. He remains someone that keeps this association front and center and does it with pride, but a belief that we are what we need at this time. And so please welcome to the podium our chairman of the board and my dear friend, Leon W. Russell.
Now, I have a speech and I'm going to give it. But as I sat there and I thought about this morning, looking out, remembering that there are folks who are joining us virtually this morning, just thinking about the memoranda of understanding that we have just signed. Bishop, Reverend Stewart, it's good y'all sit on the front row so that y'all can remind me that I am not a preacher. But looking out, the question occurred to me. NAACP, Who are we? Who are we? We are people who have suffered from the ills of smoking.
Right.
We are straight, we are gay, we are transgender, we are lesbian, we are bisexual. We are members of the Divine Nine. We are nurses.
Yeah.
We are doctors. We are patients. And we are mayors. We are everything that is anything about the United States of America. And so NAACP, as I sit out and I look at Briggs, wake up, and I think about your family, the 54 decision, the part your family played from South Carolina. And I look at Becky, and I think about teachers. I think about children. Think about the war on public education. NAACP, 117 years ago, our founders, who very few of look like us, founded the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People for such a time as this. A Floridian wrote those words you quoted this morning, Bishop. God of our weary years. 2025 and 2026 are some weary years. As we look at where we are and who we are, NAACP, as we reflect on this 250th anniversary of the founding of this nation, as we think, and I'm going to repeat something y'all at the board meeting and the committee of the whole heard yesterday, but as we think about those folks who wrote those words that became the Declaration of Independence, and y'all all know the preamble, you learned it, a teacher taught it to you. But if you go down into the meat of the Declaration, it says he has endeavored to prevent laws for the well-being of the people to be implemented. It says he has harassed our communities. He has placed troops in our communities. It says he has suppressed the will of the judges. It says he has prevented the laws that have been adopted from being enforced. Now, they were talking about the King of England in 1776. But y'all thought I was talking about that person. And it occurs. Now, I am not going to preach, but Matthew 7, Verse 18 says that a good tree cannot bear bad fruit, but a bad tree cannot plant good fruit. Now, I've stood in this place and told y'all that before. But I need you to understand, 2016, we allowed a tree to be planted. It has taken root, dropped seeds and nasty fruit. Fruit that says, y'all worried about smoking. Yeah. Y'all worried about Dr. Chris' health. But y'all don't need no laws providing access to health care. You don't need to feed folk who need to be fed. Somewhere another speaker asked America in another part of that book over there, y'all. What have you done? What have you done for the least of these? And just like that person down the street, they looked at him and said, well, when did we do something to you? And he said, when you didn't do it for those people, the least, the left, those without, then you did it to me. 117 years ago, folks, this association was founded to deal with such a time as this. Now, I have to admit, they, even though they were dealing with some nasty people, I don't think they envisioned the mean-spiritedness, the cruelty, and the outright hatred and bigotry that we see emanating from that bad tree. Now, I told y'all in 2017, Derek, that we had an obligation to prune, to remove, to take our responsibilities as keepers of this world seriously. And that meant, and it still means, that we have an obligation to dig up that tree, to destroy it, to collect the nasty fruit and all the seeds. Now, let me explain something to y'all who get confused. How do you do that? They said you have an obligation to alter or abolish. That's what they said about the king. 1776. When a government becomes destructive of these, pursuit of life, liberty, all of that good stuff. When a government becomes destructive of these, it is the right, no, it is the duty of the people to alter or abolish it. Now, you don't have to go to the last word. You can alter this situation. All you got to do is mobilize your communities. Help them understand the damage that the bad tree, what I start to say, anyway, you got to understand the damage, the destruction that the bad tree is causing. And you got to understand that you don't have to go to 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue in Washington, D.C. to begin to destroy the bad tree. All you got to do is find out where they're voting in 2026. And you can begin to do your responsibility as a gardener in this garden. You need to find the people in your house. And we know some of y'all are dealing with folk who say, mine don't count. It won't make a difference. But that's how we got the bad tree. That's where the bad tree came from, y'all. And so you've got to explain to them that if they are feeling like there is no future, it's because the bad fruit has given them bad public policy that is killing them. And that the only way to uproot that tree, to eliminate the bad fruit, is to begin where you live. Educating your family, your neighbors, the people down the street, the people in your church, the people in the barbershop, the beauty salon, or wherever you go. Ain't Suki's kitchen if that's where you get it done. It's your responsibility to help them understand the importance of getting up and going out and voting in 2026. We have no choice. We have no choice, y'all, because the God of our weary years knows that y'all can pray all you want. But if you're sitting on it, then that prayer is going nowhere. Prayer without work. Understand that you got to get up, you got to talk to some people, you got to educate some people. Why do we do partnerships in NAACP? Because we understand that some of y'all ain't got but 10 members. You claim you got 50, but you ain't. And so you better understand that we have an obligation to bring others into this fold. We have, what'd you say? 60, 80 plus agreements. And that means in your town, there is somebody we have signed an agreement with that you need to be working with. And I need you to get over whatever that personal animus is that you got. Okay? I need you to get out of the stage of denial. Oh, I can't support them because we are there. We are there. And so we have got to bring everybody into this fight and have them understand what the obligation is. And very clearly, the obligation is to vote. Now, I ain't going to tell y'all about folk who had to die for you to have the right. I'm not going to remind you of that because you said that was then. Right. I just need you to get off TikTok. I see you, Eric. I need you to look at what's happening around you. Yes, Lord. I need you you don't even have to go back to day before yesterday. Just go to last night. The Supreme Court, which the Constitution of the United States said has the responsibility for determining the absolute definition of the laws that we are allowed to pass and that govern us, they said, you can't do that. You have no authority to do that. He called them all kind of names and said, well, if I can't do it that way, I'm gonna go over here and do it this way. He still ain't got the authority to do it. And that's just what he did yesterday. If y'all don't understand who the tree is, ask me later. We have an obligation, folks. The situation is dire. King talked about the fierce urgency of now. He said, you know, we should not wait until it's too late. He said that civilizations that waited until it was too late wind up in the dust heap of history. Yeah. That's what he said. That's the part of that 1963 speech y'all don't get to. Think about it. We can't wait any longer. We should not be the people who are looked at later on and folks say about us, they waited too long. It was too late when they decided to act. We have to determine that we will act now. Yeah. And our action doesn't involve violence, doesn't involve hatred, doesn't involve division. All it requires is for us to look at the issues, understand what's in our best interest, get up off the couch, and go to wherever the polls are, and don't worry about who's standing outside the polls. Don't worry about who's trying to get the record inside the poll. Vote. Vote. Our obligation is to vote now, to vote every time they open the doors of a poll, to vote on every issue that comes before us, to vote in every election that comes up. Our time is now. Because we know that we're shadowed beneath his hand. May we forever stand true to our God, true to our native land.
This is our chairman of the board. Let's give him another round of applause. So he done lit up the Zoom. I'm getting all types of texts. I would not be surprised if he goes viral with his tickety talk. People just love that. But his message was clear. His message was clear, and it's important that we all take heed. We're going to move right along, and we have next up our treasurer, none other than Jesse Turner Jr. out of Memphis, Tennessee. And I believe that you should have a copy of our consolidated and condensed financial position report. And special thanks to our fearless and phenomenal Chief Financial Officer, Bianca Donnelly, who has come in and done a great work with our treasurer and our finance team. Chairman, Treasurer Turner. Here we go. Thank you.
Good morning. I realize Saturday morning may not be the time that folks want to go through numbers, but it's a necessary, I don't want to say evil, a necessary blessing. First of all, I'd like to note, as Vice Chair Boykin-Towns indicated, these statements for which you only have the information summarized on the white sheet of paper were prepared by Chief Financial Officer Bianca Donnelly and her team, and they're preliminary and subject to audit, which means they may find a few things that need to be added or subtracted, and our auditors review things. Our audits are always done with what's called an unqualified opinion. We really don't get to say that very often, but NAACP works very, very hard to comply with the rules and regulations of accounting, and we always get an unqualified opinion. And for that, I think you ought to applaud the team. Mr. the President, the other thing I might mention briefly, I can get up and mention the numbers, but we have finance-related committees on the board of directors, audit committees, so forth. They spend a good bit of time working with the president and the team. And sometimes it's a little up and down, but they provide oversight, more particularly counsel and collaboration. So what you have is a group effort to try to make sure our finances are done properly. And President Johnson and Chairman Russell are really committed to doing that. That's not always the case, but we never have to worry about the integrity of what goes on with our numbers. And I think we ought to applaud them for that too. Okay, moving on. What you have, the first third of the report is essentially a snapshot of it's called Statement of Financial Position, which is essentially a snapshot of our financial position at December 31st, 2025. It shows what resources, assets we own, it shows what we owe, and it shows what we have left. So if you look here, the total assets of $142 million, that's what we own. That includes cash of $24 million, investments of $96 million, and fixed and other assets of $23 million. That's what we own. What we owe is in the liabilities line, $25 million. If you subtract the $25 million from the $142 million, if you go with what we own, less what we owe, what we have left is $117 million. And that figure is shown as net assets, well, and I'm rounding, $117 million. So that is very good to have what's left to be greater than the difference. If you go the other way, you're in bad shape. So we have $117 million to the good. That's a good thing. Okay. The bottom 2/3 of the report shows essentially a statement of activities. And a statement of activities is a recap of the revenue or receipts, what we took in, and expenses for the year 2025. Again, it shows what we took in, what we spent, and what remained from what we took in and after spending. And if you look at the bottom there, our total revenue is $52 million, and that consists of institutional amount, $14 million, individuals, $16 million, money we raised, events, $13 million, and a smaller category that we don't pay a lot of attention to, we think, but it's $4 million plus. And this comes from, it says unit and memberships. It is the part of units and membership monies that are sent to national. We and you raise a lot more with our units, but part of it goes, most of it you keep, but the part that you send to national total 4 million plus during 2025. And of course, that was resulting, the total of all these came despite challenges in a banner year for the organization. And for that, we ought to applaud ourselves and the president. So that's what we took in, 52 million. What we spent from operations is roughly 58 million. And that consisted, the biggest portion of that would have been, as with most nonprofits, 23 million for personnel, and for marketing, 12 million. Of course, the other items are detailed there. Again, so our overall total includes from operations, we spent 58 million. So we took in 52 and we spent 58. We actually had an operating shortfall of the difference, roughly 6 million. And of course, we'd like that to be zero, but that's what it was. We spent the 58. We were short by 6. But we also, from non-operations, took in 11 million, primarily with investment gains, and we spent roughly 8 million, primarily in restricted grants. So if you take the shortfall and you offset it by the 11 minus 8, you end up reducing your shortfall from 6 million to 3 million, which is also very good. Now, we started the year with 120 million in net assets. So we were able to offset the 3 million short with 120 million and end up with 117 million left. That's the same 117 million as we talked about at the top. So it's always good when what you took in less what you took out balances back to what you have left. And if that's not the case, then we need to get rid of me and our CFO. But that is not going to happen with CFO Donnelly. So that's what we have, and tried to make this a little simpler for you. Hopefully it's been clear. And again, subject to audit. And with that, I would like to move adoption of the finance report. Treasurer's report.
All right. We have a motion that's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Okay. Accommodation. Thank you. So all in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? Hearing none. The motion has passed and the report is accepted. Thank you so very much, Mr. Turner. Certainly, these are times where it is critically important that our financial house is in order. We are thankful to him and the Finance Committee and the CFO and her team. But what I will say is that these are challenging times. And I have the honor of introducing someone who does not need an introduction in this room or many other rooms, the man that represents us day in and day out on the front lines. You see him just about everywhere in the media, in communities, still in Washington, doing his very best to ensure that we are at the tables, not just sitting at the table, but driving the conversation, driving the strategy, because it's not good enough to just be in the room. President Johnson has led this association with steadiness, clarity, and conviction since he was elected president and CEO about 8 years ago. He is fearless. He is fierce. He is determined that this organization will not just be performative, but we will be impactful. We will not just have activities, we will have outcomes. And he believes in all of us, and he knows that for us to be the best, there has to be the investment in our units, in our state conferences. And while we are far from perfect, we are better than we've ever been. And we are going from good to great. And so please join me in thanking and recognizing our president and CEO, Derek Johnson, hailing from Jackson, Mississippi.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Just before I got up, the chair reminded me that today is Amos Brown's birthday. So, and 84 or 5.
I'm not even gonna go there.
He turned 38 years today, and he is not with us. He's preparing for an international trip to Brazil. I can tell you, Dr. Brown, don't stop.
All right now.
And that is a blessing and a life well lived.
Yes.
I want to first start by thanking the chair, the vice chair, the treasurer, all of the members of the National Board of Directors, the foundation board, but more importantly, all of the volunteers and members who are here today. Give yourself a hand. I want to give special recognition to Philadelphia branch. Could y'all please stand? Thank you. When I looked up and out, I seen Kathy sitting on the end and smiling, continuing the tradition that Jerry Montesire started.
Yeah.
And thank you, Kathy, for continuing it. But more importantly, like some of our units have struggles from time to time, Philly had to have a restart of their youth council. And they built it back, and all the young people from Philly that's there, y'all stand, because that's what I see, more young people than anything else. Philadelphia Youth Council has been reorganized, and they have a young leader who's the president, but more importantly, our young people are being exposed. And that's the most important part of our role, is to provide exposure so they can figure out directions to be the leaders we need them to be. Earlier this week, we lost a Titan. Someone who established himself as a pillar of the Black community, not only in this country, but around the globe.
Yeah.
Jesse Jackson was a voice that many of us looked to, we heard constantly, and a refreshing perspective of what we were confronted with. When I first got the written speech, it was in 12 font. I can't see that small print. There was a time I didn't wear these glasses.
Couldn't see it either.
When I first started 8 years ago, I wasn't wearing glasses, and I woke up one morning and it was blurry on my phone, and I called a friend of mine who's a ophthalmologist. I was like, Maurice, I don't know what's going on. I can't see. And I described it. He started laughing and said, "You getting old." I didn't take too kindly to that, but I went to his office and I got first started with readers. He checked my eyes, and now bifocus so I can see. And as I'm looking through the lens of these glasses, I realized that Jesse Jackson was looking at the globe through a lens. And it's through that lens that informed how he perceived the reality that was confronting him. It was through that lens of growing up in a space where he was trying to figure out his identity. It was through that lens that informed his sense of justice and equity, and also through that lens that he developed a voice.
Yeah.
That he could speak to the needs of our community. It was also through that lens that he realized that his voice was bigger than just our community. Through that lens that he realized that the struggles of people around this country was very similar, because through that lens, he realized that othering was the tool used to keep us divided so individuals can accumulate more wealth and maintain power, domination, and control. Abby Phillips, in her book, The Fight for Black Political Power, is a great book about the life of Jesse Jackson that was just released. If you have not picked it up, I would encourage you to do so. Because in my reading of that book, I realized that he is more dynamic and complicated than how we would project his I am somebody speech. That he understood on multiple levels what we were confronting. He was not just a civil rights leader. He was not just a leader for economic opportunity and exclusion. He was not a leader for Black political power. He was not just a leader and a global ambassador who traveled to negotiate the freeing of hostages and advocated for a free apartheid South Africa. He was not just a leader who advocated for white farmers in Iowa and rural farmers across the country or the rights of workers. He had a lens that informed how he viewed the world. Yeah. He was a civil rights icon from our lens, but he was a global leader on a world stage. He was a part of the NAACP family. I can recall the first time I witnessed him on our stage in 1992 at our national convention in Indianapolis. It was the most profound convention of all the conventions I had attended. I was a youth and I was there, was doing a summer program here in New York, NYU campus, Washington Square Park, Hayden Hall. And I left there and I came to the convention. I was a state president of the Mississippi Youth and College Division. And I get there and I'm with Dr. Henry and I realize all the buzz and the movement that was going on behind the stage, in front of the stage, because Al Gore was just announced as a running mate for Bill Clinton as they ran for president in 1992. That Aristide had just been brought in by Randall Robinson because Haiti had been toppled, and we was trying to advocate to have Aristide restored back into power as a result of all of the tension in Haiti that had been going on from decades of exploitation by France and the United States. It was through that lens that I began to understand the nature of this organization and the role we played, because we were the gathering point to discuss, strategize, and understand the role of our voice in that moment. Yeah. And on that Wednesday morning preliminary session, Jesse Louis Jackson showed up. He wasn't on anyone's schedule. No. No one had, say, come speak. But apparently it was his practice to show up on Wednesday plenary session. He would walk through the crowd, shake everybody's hand, walk up on stage, and take the microphone. And as people will be grumbling and not shocked and mad, but happy at the same time, he had been doing it every year and continued to do it. In fact, he was never written on the program, but they made allowance because, Jesse gonna show up. And he would give a stirring speech, much of which we can hear over and over again, because he was that type of voice and leader that when he spoke, it drew you in, it quieted the room, it allowed people to reflect, it incited for me the possibilities. He spoke through a lens that allowed us to expand our imagination. And like any other preacher, he took up a collection when he finished talking. Every time. In 1989, he received the Spingarn Medal, the highest honor in Black America. Yeah. Because we recognize what he had done in the decade of the 80s was register more people than anybody else in the country. He had a lens Can you imagine that his runs in 1984 and 88 ignited what was possible in the backdrop of a struggle that allows some of our people to lose hope? Right. That forced some of our people to wake up and recognize that they had agency to put together the vocabulary that was simple enough for people to grab, but complicated enough for people to work towards. He had a lens. His work advanced Black America at every turn. You know, in her book, he talks about how he was that youth leader with Martin Luther King and Ralph Abernathy and the tragedy that took place. And he left from Memphis and went to Chicago and he set up, and for all practical purposes, it was SCLC in Chicago, but he expanded what was possible. And as we do sometime, that envy internal began to take root. But he continued to move forward. And people say, well, he did this and he wasn't operating above board. Who cares about his missteps when his positive work overshadows it all? In the midst of his work, he began to recognize the power of our dollars, and he began to have protests to small shops across Chicago, then larger companies and industries, and demanding inclusion, because where we spend our dollars should be respected, and people began to get jobs in the C-suites, on boards. He had a lens to understand the platform he stood on. And all the while, he always honored this organization that he called the mothership. Yeah. He challenged this nation to live up to its highest ideals. And he reminded our movement that hope is both a strategy and a responsibility. That's why I'm glad, Kathy, you brought those young people so they understand that hope is both a strategy and a responsibility. We cannot allow social media platforms or the naysayers or our negative part of our culture to diminish our power, because if we allow ourselves to do that, shame on us. His famous reframe of, I am somebody. I can recall him coming the first time to Detroit that I was aware of, where the city school district would bus people into now Huntington Arena, used to be Cobo Hall, and be a big mass gathering in the beginning of the school year, and he'd give the rousing speech. And I was like, why we keep saying I am somebody? I didn't know no better. I'm in middle school, about to go to high school, but all I was happy that we didn't have to go to class that day. And every year they would pull us together and do the same thing. Arthur Johnson was the school superintendent, but also the president of the Detroit branch. Yes. How we intertwine our work of the association is really important, so we can create opportunities for voices like Reverend Jackson. Yeah. We honor his legacy by continuing the work he championed. But the work he championed is the work of the NAACP. There is no separation between the two, and he would acknowledge that at every turn. Pioneering the right to vote, expanding economic opportunity, and fighting for the freedom and dignity, not only of Black people, but of people. You know, it's fascinating when those outside of our community try to narrow our narrative when we're so much bigger than any narrative they will try to create. It's always fascinating when those outside of our community try to typecast us. Yeah. And put us in boxes that we're too big to fit in. Yeah. It's always fascinating when people outside of our community will try to identify the most negative part of what they think we are as they appropriate our culture and try to make it their own. But in this moment, I've spent this time talking about Reverend Jackson, because we should never allow anyone to define who we are, who we honor, and the power of our leadership. I think it's appropriate now we just pause and be still. Think about his legacy, his life, but also pause and be still and think about our contribution individually and what we will do when we leave from here. Thank you. We are at war.
Yeah. Yep.
We are at war because forces who have been planning to get positionally in spaces to suffocate our ability to really live out our full potential was able to get back in position after more than 70 plus years of work. 70 plus years of work started when our tax policy shifted starting in 1932. 70 years of work where the protections of workers began to crystallize and create something that will allow people to have a different standard of life. 70 years of work where we could assure that children would not be exploited for labor, and individuals who go to job could have predictability that if they went at X time, they knew they would get off at a certain time. If they got sick, that was something there for them, and that there was a requirement of a week. And if you was forced to work more than that, you was paid more than that. 1932 was the turning point around our tax policy because all of this fight is based on two things. I say this over and over. It is important for us to know it. Who gets taxed? Who's not taxed? What the tax dollars are spent on. That's one side. And the other side is regulatory authority. Race and othering are nothing but the tools to distract in the story. And the concept of whiteness is a construct to divide. Yeah. 1909, when we were created 117 years ago, and I'm almost finished verifying, but the people who sat around that table, they were not white.
There you go. Well,
the people who sat around that table, they were not sitting around that table to do charity for us. The people sitting around that tables were otherized, and they recognized that there needed to be a vehicle to advocate, not provide service, but to advocate for a change of public policy on the federal level and state and local level. Yeah. That was the conversation around their table, that if it was deemed appropriate and legal for people, men and women, to be taken out of the jail and hung in the county square or the court square and lynched, and it became a picnic, a festive event where people were taking pictures and having postcards and sending it around, and young kids was looking at it, because once you can do that publicly, you dehumanize individuals. And you can justify levels of policy violence. What is policy violence? Policy violence is how they would take our tax dollars and use it to suppress our health.
Yeah. All right now.
Physical, mental, and economics. Policy violence is when we are paying into a system and we never get anything out of it. Policy violence is when they fund police officers to terrorize our schools and our communities. Yeah. Well, how do they terrorize our schools when you have, I'm gonna back up there, with the Detroit public school system. And I can recall when the federal government took money out of the city of Detroit, just took it out. 1980, Reagan come in, Coleman Young sometime talked a lot, and he called him old prune face. He cut $300 million out of the city of Detroit. And as a result of that, the city was struggling to function. Coleman Young said, whatever we do, we're going to continue to pay our young people in the summer. We're going to give them summer jobs. We had to figure out a lot of things. And in the backdrop of that, under Reagan, we also had a backdoor deal that was illegal where they cut with Iran and Contras. And to pay for that, they couldn't use the tax dollars legitimately. So they flooded the city of Detroit and New York and all across the country with drugs. And in the middle of cutting the money here, policy violence, they flood the city with drugs. Creating a sense of hopelessness. Throughout the 80s, they dumped this in our community. They created a scenario that for some of us, depending on our family structure or neighborhood protection, we had to navigate through the potholes because any slip, we will fall between the cracks of death, crack, or imprisonment. That's policy violence. And to recognize that it's not about what you call me when I go in and out of a store, it's about public policy. And fortunately for some of us, we were able to navigate through that. And it wasn't just in Detroit, as you know. It was where you grew up too. It was in Philly and in Jersey and Atlanta. It was in all of the black pockets, as we say. But this November, we have an opportunity to send a different message to Washington. That policy violence isn't accepted. But this past year, we've seen some of the most devastating policies any of us could have imagined. Just in the last few months, Donald Trump has presided over an administration that has abused its authority and weaponized federal agents against the very people that they were supposed to protect and serve. Keith Porter, 43-year-old father of two, killed outside of his apartment. Renee Nicole Good, killed as she was trying to drive away from the agent. The agent jumps in and shoots her in the face. Alex Predney, shot in the back 10 times as he was being restrained on the ground. They were all Americans, fellow citizens, who were killed by Trump's federal agents. At least 38 people have died in ISIS custody. We've seen military-style raids in Chicago. And there are well-documented incidents where agents have opened fire on crowds in 20 separate times. Have you all seen the images of these agents? They are dressed in all the military gear. They're out there as if they are fighting in a war against individuals who are unarmed in most cases and peacefully demonstrating. This is just a sample of the reality behind ICE, a paramilitary force that has been handed $170 billion using our tax dollars to operate with near total impunity. That's why it's important for the Senate and House leadership to stay strong in this fight to ensure the necessary accountability measures are put in place. $170 billion, that's over $1,000 per taxpayer that's funding this chaos. It's our money, state-sponsored terror. And we've seen state-sponsored terror before.
Yep.
We've seen it in the reorganization of the Klan, and this story I think I mentioned before. It's a book called Fever in the Heartland, where D.C. Stevens and others reorganized the concept of the Ku Klux Klan after they were all but wiped out. But the energy behind recreating it was generated by a movie called Birth of a Nation. In the late 1919 and 1920, they began to conceptualize how to bring it back to life. And D.C. Steve is a name that many of us should know because he was one of the most racist individuals we have ever seen who could effectively do what he did. He went back to Indiana and he realized that he had to recruit Klan members. And they began to strategize and they found a police authority that no one had thought about because it was all but irrelevant. Indiana Horse Brigade. Indiana Horse Brigade was created early in the 1800s because horse theft was a big deal. And so they created these civilian law enforcement groups. You could get deputized, so you could ride out and go find a horse and bring it back. And it was still on the books in Indiana. And he went county to county. He reorganized the horse brigade because they can get badges and reorganize them. That was his recruiting to create a Klan paramilitary force in the state of Indiana. It became so effective and so prosperous for him because he became a millionaire out of doing it. Because the Klan was nothing but a Ponzi scheme. The Klan was nothing but a Ponzi scheme. But his model, he was making so much in Indiana, he began to take the model national. There you go. Wow. Get people to pay dues so he can line his pockets. Use law enforcement as the recruiting mechanism, and then define the other. So in the Deep South, the other was the African-American community. In the Northeast, it was the immigrants, Jewish immigrants, Irish Catholic immigrants. In the Pacific West, it was the Chinese. In the mountain region, it was the Mormons. In the rest of the country, it was however they decided to define the others. And then they will weaponize these law enforcement officers. It could be the county sheriff's office, it could be the municipal police, it could be another form of a horse brigade. And they will begin to terrorize the targeted communities. Wow. State-sponsored terror. There you go. What we're witnessing now is a recreation of that through ICE. They're recruiting the Proud Boys. They're recruiting all of the individuals who are on the margin and they're upset, individuals who under normal circumstances couldn't pass a police background check. There you go. Many of them are so unfit, they could not even pass the physical, so they reduced the requirements. They're in mass because we can't identify them because most recently, one of the chief recruiters were found to be a child pedophile. We are in the midst of something that we've seen before, but in none of our lifetime. And that's why we created the campaign Dry Ice, calling for lawmakers to cut off federal fundings to ICE. And our demands are clear. Had a great conversation with one of the board members yesterday. He said, do we really want to abolish ICE? Yes. Yes. You can't reform an apple that's rotten to the core. And in the current negotiation, we are making it clear to Leader Schumer and Hakeem, you cannot take your foot off the gas. You should not authorize any budget for the Department of Homeland Security unless they are required to take the mask off. They are required to have identification like any law enforcement officers. They are held accountable for their activities. They are not provided military-style weapons to go into our communities, and their charge is not to find individuals who are citizens of this country. Many of our Black folks in our community said, well, why does this affect me? I'm not Latino. You're correct. Renee Cole Good wasn't Latino either.
Right. That's right.
How does this affect me? I'm not an immigrant. Alex Preddy wasn't an immigrant either. This affect me. I'm in my house. Keith Porter was at his apartment.
Right.
Keith Porter was African American.
Yeah.
Nicole was a white female. Alex was a white male. Now, you know good and well if they'll shoot a white man in the back 10 times on camera or a white woman in the face, what you think they would do to us? Last year, the Supreme Court issued a decision that cleared the way for ICE agents to use racial profiling and appearance during immigration raids. There are hundreds of thousands of immigrants in the U.S. from places like Haiti and Somalia and Nigeria and on throughout the African diaspora. If I'm walking down the street, all they see is a black man walking the street. They don't know if I'm Haitian. Haitian, that ain't a word. Haitian. Nigerian. Because the real question is, what does a Haitian immigrant look like? What does a Somalian or an Egyptian or you name it look like? Yeah. What does a Jamaican look like? Or Nigerian look like? They look like us. There you go. If it sounds familiar, that's because it is. This is straight from the Nazi playbook and how they persecuted people who look like they could be Jewish. A report we just released showed that 5+ million Black immigrants in the U.S. pump billions of dollars into our communities. They don't just come to America for their open hands out. They come here to get a piece of an ever dwindling American dream. And they are a vital part of our economy. An attack on Black immigrants, an attack on immigrants, an attack on people should be viewed through the lens as an attack on all of us.
Yeah, that's right.
Trump's recent actions are all a part of a larger pattern to reshape the role of government so that instead of serving the public's interests, it serves the interests of the wealthy few and silences those who oppose him. Now, let's be clear. Just because you're wealthy don't make you the enemy.
Right.
It just so happened that the enemy are some of the wealthy people.
Right. That's right.
Just because you're wealthy doesn't make you the enemy. It just happened that what's happening now there are a set of wealthy individuals who don't want to be held accountable and pay their fair share. And what we're learning out of the Epstein files, some of those people who don't want to be held accountable are in the Epstein files. So they need a destabilized government so they would not be held accountable for child or exposed. Who would ever thought Bill Gates? Just in his first year in office, during this second term, Trump has worked to oppress us. Us is plural, the American people. He has subjected Black America to policies that are making people sicker, poor, less safe, less powerful, while dismantling the very system designed to protect all of us. Now, when we did the signing with PFLAG, I love that motto: safe, celebrated, empowered, and loved. When the vice chair gave the mic over and she announced that that was your motto, I was like, what would a beloved community look like? It'll be a community where we feel safe, that all of us will be celebrated for our uniqueness, that each individual will have a sense of empowerment to pursue their dreams. And no matter what those dreams are, as long as it's not harming other individuals, they can feel loved. How far have we deviated from that prospect?
Yeah.
This is no accident. This is oppression.
That's right.
The policy violence that has become the signature of this administration, proving to all Americans that suffering is the goal, all to put profit over people. As Trump prepares to deliver his State of the Union address next week, expect every single word to be a lie.
Yes, sir.
I can recall when he made his famous statements, Black people, what do you have to lose? Everything under your regime. What do you have to lose? The stripping of our contribution through history. Jesse Jackson is American history. He's not Black history. His contributions go beyond what he did for Black people in the South Side of Chicago or in South Carolina or A&T, his alma mater. His contribution goes well beyond this nation. His contribution should be celebrated as American history. And yet, Charlie Kirk has been acknowledged as if he was something to acknowledge. He spewed hate and division, misinformation and lies. He was uneducated and refused to expand his understanding of the impact he was having. I seen one young lady on a college campus challenge him one time. She says, "Do you think it's okay for you to be coming to our campus to debate us and you're a 30-something-year-old man?" And yet, the information you are obviously saying is not only harmful, it's not true. It's false. They attack public service workers at a rate we had never seen before. They are attacking all of our well-being, and they work hard to rig the upcoming elections. Yeah. In Minnesota, they say we remove ICE if you give us your voter roll. They go into Fulton County, Georgia to try to get the voter roll. They urge the Texas legislature to redraw the political boundary lines. And they do all of this because their tool of othering has lost its power. They realize that they are unpopular and they will not win in November, but that can only happen if we in NAACP focus on November to turn out the vote like we never turned out the vote before. What's sad about it is white America is now paying attention. That when those farmers in Nebraska realized that they was not going to be able to sell their crops to China because of an illegal tariff, they were upset. Then they got upset when they realized that the money from USAID was cut. They were upset. Then they got upset when they realized that China was going to buy the same crop from Argentina. They got upset. They really got upset when they realized that this president was sending $20 billion to Argentina to support the selling of the crop to China. Race is a tool to distract, and I hope the message from Reverend Jackson during his 88th speech around the patch drill in more to so many communities, including us. When he talked about your patch isn't big enough. That yes, we're a civil rights organization and we have a mission and we have to fight for the things to improve the quality of life of our community. But that patch isn't big enough. We represent 13% of this nation's population. It isn't big enough. I am glad we are doing the MOUs, particularly with PFAC, because the LGBTQI plus community is a vital part of our community, but their work extends beyond our community and their patch isn't big enough. Yeah. That as we get sicker and sicker, we got to turn to someone to help us figure this out on a state level. And that's why our MOU with the Black nurses is critically important. But their patch isn't big enough. And my brother from iota, our patch isn't big enough. Because regardless if we're a member of a D9 organization or not, we are all charged with the same mission of serving the communities we come from to create a better quality of life. So as I begin to take my seat, because I got a lot more here and I'm not reading and y'all bored enough. We are in a crucial time in this nation's history. Organizationally, we just celebrated 117 years. Organizationally, despite our internal tension, which is healthy and necessary to ensure that we all can contribute, we got to continue to focus on what it means externally. Yeah. Dr. Howard French recently wrote a book on Nkrumah. And I love the book on Nkrumah because I just love history. And Nkrumah, who grew up in a minor tribal group in Ghana, and he was privileged enough to come to the US to get educated, found himself at Lincoln College, now university. In that process, he began to experience, as a young college student, somewhat older than the other college students, a broader lens. He began to understand beyond his village, beyond Ghana, all of the moving parts. Dr. French talks about how he had different encounters from W.B. Du Bois. And Julian Bond's father was the president of the college, Horace Bond. And Nkrumah would take trips from Pennsylvania and go to Harlem. And in Harlem, he would see the people speaking on the street corners, advocating for the issues they were advocating from. And, you know, in Harlem during this time, every corner had someone standing on the box and they were screaming at the top of their lungs about whatever the issues they were screaming about. And from that, Nkrumah lens began to broaden and broaden. And then he became an ordained minister, and he would go to the countrysides around Pennsylvania and Jersey and preach at small churches, and he was strengthening his ability to speak. Got onto the debate club, and they began to go to Howard, and that was even more broadening for him. And he began to experience more people, and his worldview started broadening it even more. And he finally graduated, and he moved from here, and he went to London. And he ran across people in London because he was referred to some of the activists here, Padmore, Trinidadian, and C.R. Lewis. And he began to understand from that perspective as he continued to refine his critical thinking skills. And finally, they start discussing the liberation of Africa, the need for those who had gone abroad to go back home and educate and empower their communities. Nkrumah took up the charge like so many others, and he went back. And he began to organize, began to negotiate with the governor of Ghana, the person England sent there is called the governor to oversee the country. And they began to have the push and pull. And finally, they had a national election. He was elected. The Nkrumah vision was big because he felt there should be a united Africa. And he began to work towards that. He went to Guinea-Bissau and he created an alliance. And he pulled together a conference. And at that conference with Patrice Lumumba and Julius Nyerere, so many others of that time, the African leaders. The ANC was actively engaged in South Africa, and this question about liberation was going around, and Nkrumah really began to expand what was possible. And so many people were looking to him. In this country, we celebrated his election. In fact, we sent a detail there. Martin Luther King and Byron Rushton, and everybody went to celebrate the election of Nkrumah. Finally, one of the nations of the continent had been liberated. And they're liberated from colonialism, which was a different version of slavery and Jim Crowism. And in that midst, Nkrumah began to accumulate more people, and to the point where people start seeing what was possible. Patricia Lumumba began to organize in the Congo, and Nkrumah was one of his advisors. Jules Nyerere, who was the most effective of all of them, seeing what was possible and transformed Tanzania. But Nkrumah made a vital mistake. His vision was so broad, he lost the common touch. He began to think about how to unite the countries, and he didn't work to unite the tribes. That is, he can go and negotiate with the Queen of England, who he convinced to come. He came here and sat in the White House to negotiate with Truman. He began to envision how to create a dam to generate their own power so they can produce from their own raw materials, as opposed to their raw materials being extracted and produced somewhere else to create jobs. And in the midst of that, the Khan in Ghana was frustrated. The people in the northern region of Ghana felt isolated. The Kumasi community, the Asante, I should say, in Kumasi, they say, we want our own separate because he's not paying attention to us. And it broke up his big dream because he didn't mind the local tribal realities. We are in that same place now. Yeah. But we know we have to win in November, but we cannot win in November if we're only sitting on our titles and not talking to the people. That we are in all the places we need to be, but in those places, are we where we need to be? Well, what do you mean? Just because you're a branch president doesn't do anything other than give you a title in front of your name. But if we got to turn out the votes in November, are we going to the places where the votes are to talk to the people?
All right, then.
It's a beautiful thing to use this vehicle for your voice, but if the vehicle say, here are your tools, your data, your information, your messaging, and you don't take it to say, I can no longer just talk to the teachers because that's my comfort zone, because there are these young people over here, then we miss the point. Having a bigger vision without doing the small things is hollow. Me personally, I've been in this position 8 years, and I have to remind myself it isn't about me. That when I see people, I have to stop, pause, picture, fine, let's take the picture. Conversation, fine, let's have a conversation. Because if I lose the common touch, I will lose my way. Rudyard Kipling had it best in his poem, If you can walk with kings and yet not lose the common touch. NAACP, we need the common touch now more than any other time. That the solution that we're looking for is not based on what degree you have or school you went to. The solution that we're looking for is just to talk to our people.
Right now.
That our titles are nothing but letters that make up a word, but our actions is the thing that will determine our liberation. Through our lens, we need to see where we have come from and go back there so we can bring other people to where we think we are. From our lens, we need not to look through our titles, but look through how we support those who cannot speak for themselves. Through our lens, we have a history that we should be pulling from, understanding, but also recognizing that none of us have the solution. All of us have a piece of a solution. and that if we put our pieces on the table together, it is the solution.
All right now.
Collectively. So Nkrumah was operating from a lens that got broader, but he lost something here. But his close friends, Julius Nyerere, had a lens similar to Nkrumah's, but he realized he couldn't leave the village. That he realized that he had to understand the tribal conflicts. That he recognized that he needed to create a course where you were Tanzanian first. Then you can identify from your cultural traditions. Ghana have had military armed coups and unpeaceful transfer of power. Yeah. Tanzania has never had a military coup. And if you ever go there, the difference is where you're from. I'm Tanzanian. East Indian family. Where you from? Julius Nyerere started that we're all Tanzanian. I am 5th generation here, I'm Tanzanian. The difference between those two individuals, they both had big visions, but one never left the people. 117 years, we got a big vision as an organization, but our challenge is to make sure we don't leave the people. And so in this moment, if you take nothing else I said this morning, leave here charged with getting reconnected with the people. All right. That is our power. That is our strength. And we must leverage our power and our strength to protect the people. Peace and power.
When we fight, Thank you, Mr. President. And the folks on YouTube and Zoom are on fire based on your work, your remarks, and we thank you so much for all that you do on our behalf. Now, we are going to move forward. We are doing well on time. We have a special guest, but more about that later. Right now, I want to bring up our very special Chair of Election Supervisory Committee, Luana Bivens from Stockton, California, with our report.
Good morning.
Morning.
To Mr. Chairman, officers, board of directors, trustees, members, and friends. This is the report of the National Elections Supervisory Committee on the recent board elections. So, elected at large are the following: Gloria Sweetlove, Gary Blissow, Rosalind Brock, Reverend Wendell Anthony, Robin Williams, Michael Curry, and Reverend Teresa Deere. Now for our candidates elected in the region. Starting with Region 1, the Adult National Board member, Rick Callender. The youth member will be Amaya Fields. Region 2, L. Joy Williams is our adult board member, and the youth member is Miles Hollingworth. Region 3, the adult member Raul Cunningham. The youth, Raven Addison. Region 5, Reverend David Walker is the adult board member. And the youth is Nevaeh Hodge. Region 6, Joseph Cotton is the adult elected board member. And Quantina Randall is the youth elected leader. Region 7, Akashua Ali is our adult elected leader. And our youth elected leader is Jalen Vince. Mr. Chairman, that concludes
Region 4.
Region 4. Region 4.
And you flipped the youth you called was from Region 4.
Oh.
So you need to go back and look at Region 3 youth and Region 4 adult and youth.
Okay, maybe I need those glasses that the president was talking about. Okay, I'm gonna go back to Region 3. Region 3 is Raul Cunningham is the adult elected leader. And then our youth leader is Eric Spraggins. Okay, Region 4. Omar Montgomery is the adult elected leader. And our youth elected leader is Raven Addison.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm filling some big shoes today, Miss Dukes, and you all remember her. So that concludes my report, and thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you so much. And the board will vote on this later this afternoon. Thank you so much. Next up, we will have our foundation board chair's remarks with a twist. Our vice chair of the foundation board's Lois Steele will be giving that report, and we are so glad to have her with us. So Lois, please take the mic.
To Chairman Leon Russell, to Vice Chair Karen Boykin-Towns, to the President and CEO Derek Johnson, and to all of you. Good morning, NAACP.
Good morning.
I bring you greetings on behalf of our Chairman, Dwayne Proctor, and the entire Foundation Board. We are 41 members strong, focused and committed to ensuring that the NAACP, the nation's largest and oldest civil rights organization, has the funding to operate and sustain our programs and operations. The annual meeting is a special and important opportunity for us to learn and focus on the great work we're doing. It's very special for me to be here before you. And since I have had the privilege of attending many of these annual meetings, it's a favorite part of my life with NAACP, and it's a time to reflect on remarks that were given in the past. So I decided to go back and take a little bit of a look in history, and I went back 25 years and looked at some remarks of this annual meeting, which is 2001, I think. And I quoted some of those remarks in our foundation board meeting when we had our meeting a couple of days ago, you know, to kind of fire them up a little bit. And, so the foundation board does fire up too, just so you know. But I want to share some of those excerpts with you today. And I quote, "For as long as we have existed, whether Democrats or Republicans occupied the White House, we have spoken truth to power. We have heard promises to unite, not divide, but they divide, but they will not conquer. We have survived presidents in the past and will survive presidents in the present and in the future. But of course, we intend to do more than survive. We intend to persevere and prevail. And again, members, this was 25 years ago, these comments were made. Does it sound familiar? Sounds like today, doesn't it? Okay. So, well, the NAACP Foundation Board of Directors are here and ready to also persevere and prevail. All 41 of our members are committed and dedicated to the NAACP's mission and vision. Currently, we have planned a retreat that will also take place 2 days before the convention, because we think it's important for our board members to participate, to be connected, and to understand what's happening at convention. So you will probably see a lot more of us at the convention in Chicago this year. We have new fundraising goals to meet our demands. And, we get kind of challenged a lot from our chairman, Leon Russell. Those goals seem to kind of go up every single meeting, but it's important and we are staying on task with that. And we also make it a mission to support the events and the programs of the NAACP, because without understanding what's happening with those programs and without attending those events, we don't have the inspiration we need to make sure that we are meeting those goals and raising that money. So you will see us at health programs, at educational programs, and we will be excited to attend and support the Image Awards next week. So one final comment that I have from that message 25 years ago said, we can do it if we will.
Yes.
We have the world to win. We have hope. We have history on our side. So I want all of you all to know that the NAACP Foundation Board of Directors agrees with that comment, and we will do it. So thank you for this time to speak to you this morning, and we are excited about continuing to engage and support this organization.
Thank you, thank you, thank you to our foundation board. And I should have said earlier, congratulations to those who have gotten elected to our National Board of Directors, those that are returning, those that are new. I'd like to take a personal point of privilege to recognize my husband, Darrell Towns, who is here. There's a lot going on, so excuse me. And I'm buying a little bit of time. And you have a good man when other women tell you how good he is. So last night we had a meeting, after all day, and so got back in the room late, tired, go to sleep. He's not there. I wake up this morning and I'm like, hey, I gotta be downstairs. He says, oh, what time is it? I tell him the time. He says, oh, I gotta get up because I gotta go get something for Gigi. I was like, what? What?
And she told everybody.
So I was like, well, Gigi's my girl. But my point is, it's nice when you have a good man who, is able to get into the flow of things and be helpful to other people, because he knew Gigi had to be in this meeting in the morning, and he ran the errand for her. Anyway, so I'm buying time, telling all my business.
Yeah, you're on.
So we are getting to one of my favorite yet most stressful points of the program, where we get our greetings from our NAACP units. The team is setting up so that we can begin that process. But I want to remind us that back in the day, and I'm old enough to remember, people would come up and they would give checks.
If you got one, we'll take it.
We'll take checks. They would come up and they would talk about the hundreds of memberships that they would bring. So just want to remind us that, we're going back to basics, because we know that we have got to be about our business. We have to be 10 toes down. This year is one where there is no time for foolishness. And therefore, we will work really hard together to get through this part of the program. The good thing this year is that unlike last year where we had to be out so that they could switch the room for the board meeting, and I had that stress, but we finished at 12 o'clock on time. We're okay with time a little bit because we will be in a different space for the board meeting. So I would like to, I see the mics are up, and I will also note that if I tell us we need to pause, we will pause briefly and then get back to our regular scheduled program because we have a special guest and it is a historic guest. And so why don't we move forward with getting a line for our greetings? Who would like to be the first to come up and provide greetings to our NAACP family? All right, I'm going to start here with my state conference president, L. Joy Williams.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to New York. Greetings from New York State, where we stand firmly in the powerful tradition of Dr. Hazel N. Dukes. Agitate and litigate on behalf of Black New Yorkers across 55 adult branches, 35 youth councils and college chapters. Our network is organized and expanding. And this year we are celebrating 90 years of the New York State. And we are not simply commemorating history, we are building power for the future because we are on the road to 25,000 members in New York State. Because we know membership is power and we are using that power. We're using it in the courts. We're challenging this federal overreach from this administration, intervening on this Department of Injustice who is trying to access our full voter registration data. We have litigation pending in Syracuse where this Department of Justice is ending the consent decree for the police and fire departments because equity and public safety hiring remains unfinished work. We are suing the NYPD for its discriminatory practices targeting Black drivers because equal protection must be real. In East Ramapo, we are fighting for equal access to education funding and holding the school board accountable. In Orange County, we're organizing and advocating against the new ICE detention facility. In Niagara, we're demanding environmental justice, challenging emissions from the Goodyear plan, and fighting for simply the right to breathe clean air. And we are continuing Dr. Duke's deep commitment to education. We are not leaving it to others to teach our children our history. This spring, we are launching a Saturday Freedom School at Medgar Evers College in the tradition of citizenship schools of the civil rights movement. This is what it looks like to advocate, to litigate, to agitate. New York State is organized, we are vigilant, and we remain committed to building and protecting Black power at every single level.
Thank you, New York State. Yes, ma'am. No. Yeah, you. Yep.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Deborah Smith Gregory from the Great Garden State of New Jersey, and I want to bring a different kind of payment. I would ask that anyone that is here from the New Jersey NAACP to stand. I want to acknowledge the staff who sent us the civic engagement information.
Yes.
We did that.
Yes.
We just had a governor's race and we turned it up and we turned it out, and we are getting ready for the November midterms. But in the meantime, we just need to connect to let you all know that all of that information that you sent to us, these are the people. We got it all around New Jersey. And a special shout out to our president, President Smith.
Thank you so much, and great work in this great state of New Jersey. Yes, ma'am.
Greetings. From the great state of New York, from the Mid-Manhattan branch. My name's Kendall Reed. I'm the president of the Mid-Manhattan branch, and we like to welcome you here this weekend to gather with the honor and legacy and the leadership of the continued work of the NAACP. The Mid-Manhattan branch is turning 60 years this year. So we will be celebrating our milestone anniversary. The Mid-Manhattan branch was chartered on June 8th, 1966, in the height of the Civil Rights Movement, 1 year after the Selma Montgomery March. We are the second NAACP branch established in Manhattan. The other branch is the New York branch. We are the Mid-Manhattan branch. Our catchment area spans from 110th Street to 34th Street, river to river, representing one of the most diverse, cultural, rich, and historical regions in the nation. So we are especially pleased to host you in the heart of New York City. The Hilton Hotel sits right in the center of the historic Mid-Manhattan branch catchment area, a community that has shaped our branch's identity for over 6 decades. Our legacy is rooted in the leadership and service. The Mid-Manhattan branch is honored to be the home of the late, great Honorable Dr. Hazel N. Dukes, who was a Diamond Lifetime member, a leader, a mentor, an activist, and a friend. She is truly, truly missed. I would also like to take this time to recognize some dedicated leadership for the Mid-Manhattan branch. Our first president, Gary Johnson, and treasurer Claire Theobald, as well as our chair of the Civic Engagement, Charles Johnson and Chanel Washington, have recently been elected and appointed to the state level positions under the leadership of the New York State Conference President L. Joy Williams.
Okay.
I'm also proud to announce that we are a recipient of the 25,000 bill grant. So we can, yes, we got the bill grant. So we can invest in voter registration, voter participation, and voter education so that we will continue to do the work of the members. Okay,
President Reed.
Okay. Also.
No. Sorry. So this is over time.
One more minute.
No. Thank you very much, because we really congratulate you on all the great work, your 60th anniversary coming up. And so thank you so very much. And we're going to move on to the next.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Yes. Thank you, Kathy.
Good morning.
Good morning.
And we just welcome. I'm here from the great Philadelphia branch, Catherine Hicks, the president. Greetings from the Philadelphia branch. Will all of our branch members stand? I'm here. I'm joined by some of the officers, executive committee members, our committee chairs, our young adult chair, young adult members, youth council officers, and their members. The Philadelphia branch stands ready to mobilize and support the community during these challenging times where our history is being challenged and erased, where our lives and civil rights are in jeopardy. We emphasize that collective action through voting is essential to safeguard lives and preserve our history. We understand that this is the fierce urgency of now, and by voting, we will make change. We also received the $25,000 bill grant, and we are going to be mobilizing through our voting, through our youth, and I'm going to give our youth an opportunity to say a few words as well. So thank you. We look forward to working with all of you and making sure that the Philadelphia branch makes a change in this upcoming election. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes. No. Okay. You go, and then we're going to take a brief pause.
Good morning. My name is Brooke Kabra, and I serve as the Philadelphia Branch Youth Council President under the leadership of President Catherine Hicks. I would like all Philadelphia Youth Council members to please stand up and be recognized. Our leadership team includes First Vice President Sarai Washington, Second Vice President Giselle Glenn, Secretary Majay Carter, and our advisor and co-advisors, Ms. Tashika Reed, Ms. Crystal Maddox, and Dr. Deshonda Williams. The Temple University branch of the NAACP is also here. Now, not everyone could make it tonight, but their work is a part of everything we do. I would also like to thank President Derek Johnson and the entire NAACP Board of Directors. I think it's incredibly important that our youth can have a say in this conversation. We are the future, and thank you all for allowing us to be present. It truly means a lot to me in the cabinet, and we will continue to work and advocate within the NAACP for years to come as the next generation. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We are so proud of you, and you are not our future, you are our now. So, all right, family, I'm going to ask if you would all take your seats and that we have people who are outside to come inside because this is not to be missed. For all of our folks on Zoom and on YouTube, we are about to get started. And so we're going to do something that never really happens before. As a presiding officer, I am going to step aside because I would like to bring forward my state conference president, my NAACP National Board member, my forever bride, Joy Williams, who we are so proud. You heard all the things that we are doing in New York State and our bold goal of having 25,000 NAACPers in this year. But she will look to bring on our very special guest, who is very busy today, but we're happy that he has joined us. And so without further ado, President Williams, will you please come up and give our introduction?
Thank you very much to our Vice Chair, and greetings once again from New York State Conference. Just this past year, in talking about elections as NAACP, we are engaged and active in every election. If they're holding an election for dog catcher, NAACP is turning out the community. And in this past municipal election cycle, here in New York State, we brought a new class of mayors into our cities, leaders who energized voters, increased engagement, and in several cities inspired people who had not felt seen in a very long time. We've also made history with the election of 2 new Black women of mayors of Syracuse and Albany, which is a very, very important milestone. But as we know in the NAACP, representation is only the first step. It opens the door, but what follows must be policy, partnership, and measurable progress for the communities we serve. Mayor Zoran Mamdani represents a new generation of leadership in one of the most complex and consequential cities in the world. He is young, I get to say younger than me. He is thoughtful, and for many across New York City, he symbolizes the possibility of transformation at a time when people are hungry for bold solutions and responsive government. With that hope, however, comes great responsibility. Black New Yorkers, like many of the communities you serve across the country, are deeply invested in what happens in our cities. We are invested in safety and dignity, in housing and home ownership, in economic opportunity, in schools that serve our children well, and we are invested in leadership that not only speaks about equity, but builds durable relationships with the communities most impacted by those policy decisions. There is great excitement about this new chapter, but there is also skepticism. And that skepticism should not be viewed as opposition. It is an opportunity for engagement and relationship. It reflects a community that has learned through experience to ask hard questions and to stay vigilant about the outcomes. So as NAACP, we believe in working relationships with those who hold power. We believe in dialogue. We believe in accountability. And we believe in partnership when partnership is in the best service of our people. Mayor Mamdani and I have begun that work here in New York, grounded in honest conversation and a shared understanding that progress requires trust, transparency, and results. Please join me in welcoming Mayor Zoran Mamdani.
Good morning, everyone. It is an honor to be here with all of you today. And I want to say thank you for having me in this space, and thank you for giving me the honor of being a part of today's meeting. Before I begin, I do want to take a moment, however, to mourn the loss of one of our nation's greatest civil rights leaders, Reverend Jesse Jackson. When people saw Reverend Jackson at the front of the march, they knew that march was going somewhere. So many people live lives more full of freedom and of dignity today, thanks to the Reverend's leadership and fearlessness. Our nation is worse off without him. But I take strength in knowing that the NAACP, your members, and the good works that you do will continue to carry his legacy forward. And it is quite a legacy. I mean, Reverend Jackson was one of the few people who had people moving from New York City to Chicago just to be there with him. And we see in that legacy a roadmap for what the works need to look like in the weeks and the months and the years to come. Now, I want to thank the leadership of the NAACP for having me here today. I want to thank the chairman of the board, Leon Russell. I want to thank the vice chairman and a proud Brooklyn native, Karen Boykin-Towns. I want to thank President and CEO Derek Johnson, Treasurer Jesse Turner, and I want to thank the New York State Conference President, my friend Eljoy Williams. The NAACP has delivered justice across our nation, but its story, in fact, begins right here in New York City. Since this organization was founded on the Lower East Side in 1909, it has been intertwined with New York City. In 1917, you organized one of the first mass demonstrations against racial violence in America, the Silent March on Fifth Avenue. The silent determination of 10,000 men, women, and children, sparking a movement that would spread across the country. Through the 1920s, you fought to end segregation and racism in New York theaters, picketing venues who were turning away Black patrons, lobbying against racist films like Birth of a Nation. And in our own lifetimes, this organization's led the effort against stop and frisk, orchestrating the second ever Silent March, a powerful effort that resulted in a federal court ruling the practice unconstitutional. Now, I tell these stories not to dwell in the past, but because they teach us about the present, or as was said before I came up here, about the now. The problems our city faces today, a shortage of affordable housing, classrooms that are too crowded, healthcare disparities. The more Black a neighborhood, the slower the public transit. These are all rooted in a long history of exclusion. And NAACP has been fighting that exclusion from every angle for over a century. And I believe that government has an obligation to not only match that effort, but to start to help lead that effort. Because in the words of Thurgood Marshall, we must dissent from a government that has left its young without jobs, education, or hope. We must dissent from the poverty of vision and the absence of moral leadership. We must dissent because America can do better, because America has no choice but to do better. We have no choice but to build a city where government works to deliver dignity to everyone who calls it home. A city where a vision of justice guides our actions. A city where all New Yorkers can turn to City Hall as a beacon of integrity. Now, I will tell you, I speak often about the need to make this city, our city, which is the wealthiest city in the wealthiest country in the history of the world, a fairer city, because it is a city where 1 in 4 live in poverty. And I speak about how I believe that we should increase taxes on the wealthiest and the most profitable corporations as part of advancing that fairer city. And when I say that, inevitably someone will say, well, what if those people leave? And I turn to the facts, and it shows that, in fact, we have more millionaires than we did before we increased the millionaires tax. And then I ask them, what about the people who are already leaving? What about the exodus that we have been seeing for years? And I speak specifically of the exodus of Black New Yorkers. 200,000 Black New Yorkers have left our city in the last few decades alone. The population of Black children and teenagers has declined by 19% just from 2010 to 2019. What we see in front of us is an exodus. that can only be brought to an end if we start to advance a vision that makes it easier to stay here than to leave here. And so to do so, we have to ask ourselves, what is the pressure that is pushing these New Yorkers out? And what I find time and again, it is a pressure of cost, a pressure of a lack of affordability. And after housing, you will see that the foremost cost in a working family's life is that of childcare. And so one of the key parts of our agenda is realizing the promise of universal childcare so that every single child in this city, whether you're in Brownsville or the South Bronx, whether you're in the Upper East Side or you're in Bryant Park, can step into kindergarten, ready and equipped to learn. That no parent has to go into debt for daring to raise a family in the city that they call home. It means creating a city where we treat the mental health crisis through the lens of mental health, where we stop asking our police officers to take this on as yet another responsibility, and where we instead create a new part of city government, part focused on the work of community safety, to focus on responding to mental health crises with mental health professionals. It means breaking ground on affordable housing. Like just this week, we opened up Timbale Terrace on 118th Street and Park Avenue in East Harlem, taking what had been a police parking lot and making it the site of 100% affordable housing development. 341 units, 181 of which are affordable to those making less than 30% of the area median income. It also means prioritizing the fight to keep New Yorkers in their homes. No matter if they're a tenant or a homeowner, we have to do that work. And so that also means taking on the scourge of deed theft in this city, ensuring that we learn from municipalities elsewhere in the country about how to provide legal services to our elders such that they are not able to be taken advantage of by someone knocking on their door and promising them the opportunity of a refinancing or assistance to pass that property on to their next generation, that instead the city is working with them to do that in advance. And it also means establishing the community spaces, because what I hear so often from young people in our city is that it costs too much to even hang out with somebody. You can't find a place where you could just sit and talk. You can't find a place where you don't have to reach into your pocket to even use the bathroom. And what we are looking to do in this city is to make more of those spaces. And I'm proud to say that we opened up one of them, a community space named after Shirley Chisholm. The Shirley Chisholm Recreation Center that is free for any New Yorker 25 and below. And it has a membership so that every New Yorker can afford this. And let me tell you, if you have a membership at Equinox, you might want to cancel it when you see this recreation center, because it is an incredible place where we have a swimming pool, where we have basketball courts, where we have all of the kinds of facilities that New Yorkers are hopeful of. And for also other men in their mid-30s like me, we also have a space for you to record a podcast. So it has everything that we may need in this moment. And I come here to say all of this to say that the NAACP has never waited for the right moment. You have made that moment. That to me, that is the lesson of 1909. That is the lesson of 1917. That is the lesson of every fight for justice you have led across our city and beyond. You have spent over a century proving that things can change when people demand that they do. And so for all of the language in our politics of describing things as if they are the first, as if they have no precedence, let me say very clearly that I only stand here because of the work that organizations like NAACP has done for years. And when we speak about gathering, especially during Black History Month, we speak about it not only to honor the history that has been before us, but also to make very clear that you cannot tell the history of this city without telling the history of Black New York City. The two are intertwined. One creates the other. And what we must do now is to ensure that that history is not forever in the past tense, that we make this a city that Black New Yorkers can continue to call their home, such that we can continue to write that history from the very place that an organization as storied as the NAACP actually began. So as we work together to build this new era of ambition, whether from City Hall or whether from right here, it is my goal to not only honor that powerful legacy, but to hold that same pen with you as we write a new legacy where this city can thrive. Thank you all so much for having me. Thank you. Thank you so much.
That is our mayor of New York City. Now, let me just say, what has impressed me about Mayor Mamdani is he shows up. He is unafraid to go into places where there may be not a warm welcome. Now, of course, this was always going to be a warm welcome because our president, Eljoy Williams, has been spending time in ensuring that he understands the issues that are important, and he has great respect for our president, and she does not play, and she tells it like it is. And it is important that you have relationships where you can be honest, where you are able to share what people want to hear, but even what they don't want to hear. And so I'm very encouraged about this new era that is being built, particularly with our state president at the helm of ensuring that our issues are front and center. So let's hear it again for Mayor Mamdani. Now we will get started with that and continue with our business. So if we could still resume, if we can go back to resuming the spots at the mics for our greetings. And I was being a bit generous earlier because I was needing to buy time. Now I got to make up time. So we're going to go back to our minute and a half. Yeah. And we're going to put on our alarm so that you can get to your, people have to get back on the road. We have a board meeting to get to, and some of us have to get to California for Image Awards. And so I will take this opportunity for the commercial on Saturday, February 28th, 8 p.m. Eastern. Please be sure to watch the 57th NAACP Image Awards on BET and CBS. All right. Now, we're also going to be respectful and we're going to limit conversation unless you're at the mic, please. Thank you so much. All right. So we're going to start with the mic that is right here on my right with Ms. Benfield.
Good morning. I would like to, in memory of Dr. Dukes, membership is power. Yeah. Membership is the lifeblood of the association. And from New York State Conference, will all of the New York State Conference members please stand? Because this is a team effort. This is not one person, but the whole team, New York State Conference. From October 25 through February 20th, we are reporting 1,047 memberships, $23,976 in dues. I am also a Baptist, so I will tell you that from the Black, Puerto Rican, Asian, Hispanic Legislature Caucus last Saturday, we also are reporting in person, and we will turn it in. $270 in memberships. Ms. Karen Blandon to Bronx Life, a final payment of $200. That brings a total of $470. And we are also with Bishop Marvin Thomas, $20 donation, and my $30 to even it out as a Baptist. That'll be $500. And we would like to turn all of those memberships, separate envelopes in, I think, to the secretary. Madam Vice.
The finance lady right behind you. In the red.
All right. Praise the Lord.
Okay. Thank you so very much.
Thanks to the team.
Thank you. Yes. Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Stacey Taylor. I'm the state conference president for Pennsylvania. I hail from the Keystone State, the glue to any national election. I'm happy to announce today, or to recognize today, we have 8 units from the state of Pennsylvania, Philadelphia, Adult and Youth, Schuylkill County, Norristown, Reading, Mainline, Harrisburg, and Temple. We have 48, almost 50 individuals, I believe, present today for the state of Pennsylvania. Can you please stand? Proud to say that we've started our engagement with the Medgar Evers campaign. We've shared the information with our units. We're continuing to advocate and engage in efforts to address the TPS concerns for our Haitian families and communities. And we're proud to say that we're still working on the education of the 6888 Gravesite Initiative project that we completed last year, or we started last year. We are determined to stay engaged, informed, and to stay ready. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
Greetings, Reverend Robert James, the Mississippi State Conference President. Let me say this to the Chair and Vice Chair, Karen Boykin-Towns, and to our President and CEO. I'm thankful for your leadership, because we can't do the work on the ground without the visionary, y'all. So I want to, come on, can we put our hands together? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Last night as a preacher, and I'm gonna say this and I get into my brief mark greetings. I told DeMar Robertson that I would stand with him as he honored that MOU. And so I want to go on the record and tell him, even though he's not here, that I support the signing of the plea flag for advancing equity and inclusion for all. Sometimes as preachers, we don't want to come boldly, but I come boldly before everybody. Yeah. And I make those things, and I got the biblical background to make those things. I just want to say that. So let me just say this. We stood with our... I'm over?
No.
I guess I'll be quiet then.
No, you have...
I got 20 seconds.
Yes.
So I'm thankful that we stood with our DeSoto County resident, and thankful for the national that we entered to, gave them notice of the suit because of the violation of AI. And the last thing I want to say, there's power. There's no power like people power. Praise God.
Praise God. And let me just let everyone in this room know, and who's on online, there's some powerful stuff happening in the state of Mississippi. Don't get it twisted. I'm so proud, and this has nothing to do with President Johnson, but I have been on the ground in Mississippi, and what they are doing politically as it relates to Black power, we all need to be supporting and keeping an eye, because I think this country is going to be shocked about what happens in Mississippi come November. Yes.
My name is Brian Reese-Turner. I have the pleasure of serving as the president of the NAACP Mainline branch, which is located in suburban Philadelphia. I bring greetings from my unit forged in the 1932 Berwyn School fight, where our ancestors took the battle to desegregation to the Pennsylvania Supreme Court. Today, we continue that legacy with legislation, litigation, and agitation, and we're just proud to be here. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Bobby Bivens, Stockton, California, branch 1078.
Yes.
I'm pleased to be here. We come to lay down $3,802. I also want to say that we are proud in Stockton, California, to have a board member on the national board. We also are engaged in forcing the developers and the city government in our city to give up tax dollars for development for Black businesses. They've been giving it to white businesses forever. Now we're demanding that they give that tax credits so that we can have economic development. Additionally, we have pushed for $5 million in one of the school districts in town for educational upgrading for Black children. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Yes.
Good morning. My name is Marvin Gawaneda. I am a representative of the Temple University chapter of the Youth and College Unit 2909B under the Pennsylvania and Philadelphia branch. We stand around 33 members and growing strong. Next Saturday on February 28th, our chapter will be hosting a watch party for the 2026 NAACP Image Award. Additionally, we are working on a cookie fundraiser. 60% of the proceeds will go to the National Center on Violence Against Women in the Black community. Our fundraiser started on February 12th and will continue until February 27th. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
First of all, greetings in the name of our Lord and Savior, because if it has not been for him, we would not be here. So I got to give praises to God. Secondly, from the mighty Region 2 and our state conference, Scott Estelle as our president, I bring you greetings from the city of Waterbury, the Greater Waterbury Branch NAACP. We are a proud follower. We are proud of what you're doing in national. We are proud of our chairman. We are proud of this organization. And with that, we are able to do a full-fledged membership drive for the entire month of February, bringing in 10 lifetime members. We are so proud of that. And we thank you from the bottom of our hearts, because without you, we would not be the branches without the tree. So thank you for your good fruits.
And we thank you. Oh, I remember you from last year. Yeah. Hey, how you doing?
Madam Vice Chair, I'm back. Ronald Ali, State President, Alabama State Conference. So goes Alabama, so goes the nation. There's a scene from the movie where James Brown was played. And James Brown, he whispered to Bobby Bird after his band had broken up. Said, "Bobby, what's that cat name in Ohio?" Bobby Bird said, "Boosie Collins." James Brown said, "Call him up." Call him up. So in Alabama, in Selma, the Selma weekend, and all things that are civil human rights emit and come out of Alabama, when you're in Alabama, for the bridge crossing, for the chair, my brother, call me up.
He cracks me up. President Forward, good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, Vice Chair Boykin-Towns and all of our leadership, President Johnson and Chairman Russell. And I bring you, my name is Dr. Derek L. Forward. I bring you greetings on behalf of our state conference president, Tom Roberts, and also from the Dayton branch NAACP, of which I am the president for the past 20 years. We are 110 years strong in Dayton. Last year, we investigated 198 cases of discrimination. Our membership is up 6%. Voter registration registered over 600 voters. And I can tell you that I'm very proud of our women in the NAACP committee.
That's WIN.
WIN. What'd I say?
Women in the NAACP.
Okay. Yeah. WIN committee. Yeah. As we've been working with Vice Chair Karen Boykin-Towns, the WIN committee of the Dayton branch NAACP got a bill, Ohio House Bill 29. This bill will go into effect on March the 20th, 2026. It is the only law in the United States that explicitly recognizes the denial of menstrual products to incarcerated women as a discriminatory and punitive practice and prohibits it comprehensively. So this bill going into effect next month, the only one of its kind in this nation. And we are ready at all levels of the association, and we are ready to work. Junior Youth Council, check. Youth Council, check. High school chapter, check. College chapter, check. EXO Youth Program, check. NAACP Dayton Civil Rights, our little T-ball team, check. So we are ready at all levels of this association to get to work, to get people to vote in this 2026 election. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Greetings. I am Eldrick Coleman, a graduating senior biology major at the illustrious Alabama State University, and I currently serve as your Alabama Youth and College Division President. Good morning, President, Chairman, and National Board members. and NAACP family. On behalf of the Alabama NAACP Youth and College Division, thank you for the opportunity to greet you and stand in this place. Alabama's youth and college leaders remain committed to service, civic engagement, and carrying forward the legacy of this organization with discipline and purpose. We are grateful for your leadership, your guidance, and your continued investment into young people. Alabama is ready to work and proud to serve. Thank you.
Thank you so very much. And many people don't know my mom's family is from Alabama, Wetumpka, Alabama, where I still have family. So my heart definitely loves Alabama. So, D. Lewis, if we can make sure that this is, now we're about to bring it to an end. So anyone who's not online, thank you for being here though. All right, you're next.
Good morning and congratulations to everyone for a successful Directors Board meeting. My name is Vanessa Brown. I'm from the great state of New Jersey. Our president is Richard T. Smith. I'm one of his third vice president, and I'm the president of the Morris County branch in Morris Township. And it's branch 2092. And I just wanted to applaud our branch for receiving the Joe Baker Allen Award for 22% increase in membership for 2025. I wanted to let them know that they're doing a fine job. Plus, it is a branch that is supportive. And I think we all need to be supportive of our presidents. And soon you'll hear more about what we're doing about foreclosures in the state of New Jersey. I want to thank our president, Richard T. Smith, for allowing us to create a foreclosure review committee. And I think that's a legacy that's on the rise for us because it's a big deal. I wasn't going to say anything about it, but if you see something, say something. And it's critical that we talk about the roof over our heads. And we don't want anybody to be ashamed about it because there are errors in the process, procedural and all. So see us in New Jersey and let's do this.
We see you, New Jersey.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm Brenda Murphy, the state conference president from South Carolina. I'm going to ask those who stand from South Carolina. I want to say, first of all, thank our chair, our president, and board members, and the staff, because without your support, we would not be able to do the work that we do. We are on the move in South Carolina. We have challenges, but we face those challenges with a mighty, mighty strength. We're fighting for education, healthcare. Also, you all know HC1 and what is happening in terms of coverage for all. We are fighting in South Carolina. We are fighting. We also, and I'll mention an accomplishment that we recently, I call it an accomplishment. We went to court in order to fight for the disabled and voting, because we know voting rights are under attack. And in South Carolina, what they're trying to do is make it difficult for those individuals to vote. So we are fighting that as well. And without you, we could not be able to do the things that we do. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And last but not least, sir, thank you so much.
Madam Chair, boards of directors, President CEO Derek Johnson. I bring greetings, not just as a member, but as a member like everybody else, fired up and ready to work. My name is Dorian Rogers, pronouns he and his, and I've served in several positions as a 25-year-old member of the NAACP. I've served as the chapter president of Salisbury University, located on Maryland's Eastern Shore, 15 minutes from University of Maryland Eastern Shore. I served as a state president alongside my peers, reactivating the Maryland State Conference Youth and College Division, home where we had the first Black governor, the largest legislative Black caucus, 23 counties, including one Baltimore City. But the importance, because we understand that democracy is not a choice. It's not just by chance, but it's about our ability to uphold our principles. That's something that we as an NAACP upholds in our constitution and bylaws. But as a member of Maryland, I'm concerned because, quite frankly, when we talk about healthy debate, when we talk about governance, but most importantly, ensuring that the low-hanging fruits that we see, not just with this tyrannical government, but with status quo politics that have robbed Black and brown people of our ability to have life, liberty, and the pursuit of property, what are we doing to ensure that we are remaining resilient in upholding those ideals? And as a Marylander, I have to ask, because when we look to our elected officials, whether it's local members running our branches, our collegiate chapters, our youth councils, high schools, state and area conferences, regional leadership, it's the same principles we're asking our communities to do and holding our county councils, city councils, board of education, state delegates, county or Congress members, and of course, our president of the United States. I'm saying all this to say that we need to ensure that our election happens in Maryland. We do not have a state conference. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. So as we prepare, first off, as we prepare to adjourn this annual meeting of the NAACP, I want to once again lift up our tremendous staff who have worked tirelessly. It is Saturday. They are working. Many of them will be on their way to Los Angeles as we execute a week of Image Awards activity. And so definitely let's give them, and we have a board meeting after this. So let's give them another round of applause. So let us be clear. 2026 will demand our very best. This will not be a passive year. It will not be a quiet year, and it will not be a year for hesitation. Across this country, the stakes are high for voting rights, for educational access, for economic equity, for the integrity of our democracy itself. And moments like this requires more than presence. They require preparation, they require discipline, they require us to dig deep, deep into our strategy, deep into our organizing, deep into our unity. We leave here not just with information, but with assignment. Each unit activated, each committee aligned, every leader accountable. The communities we serve are counting on our strength, they're counting on our clarity, and they're counting on our courage. And if we remain focused, strategic, and united, we will meet this moment as we always have, together. Thank you for your leadership, and this, our annual meeting, is adjourned.